Key. Hello, Tianna.
Ready?
Okay.
No, it's okay. Today I'm gonna try to persuade you guys that legalizing prostitution can lead to improved safety, regulation, societal benefits, economic societal benefits, and making rational and responsible choices. I'm going to talk to you about the historical content, the historical background, and how societies have dealt with it over time, the health and safety. Legalizing prostitution can provide a safer environment for sex workers. The economic benefits, potential economic benefits of legalized and regulated prostitution industry, and reducing human trafficking. Legalizing prostitution can help combat human trafficking by regulating the industry. Okay, so some historical background. In some cultures, prostitution has been required of young girls as a rite of puberty or as a means of requiring a dowry. That's like payment for getting to marry the daughter. And some religions have required prostitution of a certain class of priestesses. The ancient Greeks and Romans mandated that prostitutes wear distinctive dress and pay severe taxes. Prostitution can be traced back to ancient civilizations, including the Mesopotamia, Greece, and Rome. In these societies, prostitution was often regulated and even considered a legitimate profession in some cases. Temples dedicated to deities associated with love and fertility, like Ishtar in Mesopotamia, had sacred prostitutes who engaged in sexual acts as part of religious rituals. So it was normal.
Like, just working it.
Normal practice. In medieval Europe, prostitution was both tolerated and regulated by the church and state. Some cities established brothels as a means of regulating and taxing the trade. Prostitutes were often marginalized and stigmatized, but their services were still in demand. Supply and demand.
Yeah.
The 19th century saw significant changes in the regulation and the perception of prostitution. In many Western countries, there was a shift towards stricter control and regulation of prostitution, often under the guise of public health and moral concerns. The Contagious Diseases Acts in the United Kingdom were an example of such regulation. In the Victorian era, the 19th century brought a strong emphasis on morality and modesty. Prostitution was seen as a moral and social problem, leading to increased efforts to combat it. Social reformers advocated for the rescue moving on to health and safety. Legalizing prostitution can provide a safe environment for sex workers. Regulations and oversight. Legalizing prostitution allows governments to regulate the industry, which can include health and safety standards, regular health checks for sex workers, workplace protections. This can improve the working conditions for sex workers and may reduce their vulnerability to exploitation. So they rules, regulations, if they have safety,
Yeah.
all around. And it's consenting adults, so I really don't see a problem. Allocation of resources. Legalization can enable law enforcement to focus their efforts on tackling human trafficking and other forms of sexual exploitation, as opposed to spending resources on prosecuting consensual adult sex work. By bringing prostitution into the open, it can reduce the reliance on illegal, unregulated sex work, which often fuels human trafficking and exploitation. Legalization can create a safer environment for sex workers to report abuse and seek help if needed. Legalized sex work can lead to great economic benefits. Tax revenue. Legalizing and regulating the sex industry can generate tax revenue for governments. Sex workers, brothels, and related businesses can be subject to taxations, contributing to government budgets, as we've seen with legalizing medical marijuana in Florida.
Yep.
It would kind of be the same thing. Everything will be regulated, health checks, all that good stuff. Job creation. Legalizing prostitution can create jobs in the sex industry and related sectors, such as security, health, services, and hospitality. This can reduce unemployment and stimulate economic growth. Improve working conditions. Legalization often means that sex workers can operate in safer environments with access to legal protections, health services, and labor rights. This can result in better working conditions and may reduce the burden of public health care systems. Reducing law enforcement costs. Legalization can lead to decrease in law enforcement and costs associated with policing and prosecution of sex workers of related offenses. This allows resources to be redirected to more serious crimes. Tourism and local economy. Some areas experience increased tourism due to legal sex industry, just like Amsterdam.
Yes. Red light district.
Exactly, the red light district. So legalizing it here, it's legalized in so many other places of the world because they recognize how
Profitable.
yeah. It will lead to high revenues for local businesses, hotels, restaurants. There's economic diversification. Legalized prostitution can be a part of a diversified local economy, reducing dependence on other industries that may be more susceptible to economic downturns. A big part of it is reducing human trafficking. Legalizing prostitution can help combat human trafficking by regulating the industry. Regulation and oversight. Legalizing sex work allows government to regulate the industry, which can include health and safety standards, regular health checks for sex workers, and workplace protections. This can improve the working conditions for sex workers and may reduce their vulnerability and exploitation. And that also will have a reduction in underground markets like Backpage, all those.
Is that even still going?
Yeah.
Really?
By bringing prostitution to the open, it can reduce the reliance on illegal, unregulated sex work, which often fuels human trafficking and exploitation. Legalization can create a safer environment for sex workers to report abuses and seek help if needed. There'd be an allocation of resources. It can enable law enforcement to focus their efforts on tackling human trafficking and other forms of sexual exploitation as opposed to spending resources on prosecuting consensual adults. In conclusion, legalizing prostitution can lead to improved safety, regulation, social benefits, making it a rational and responsible choice, supporting the legalization of prostitution by staying informed, advocating for policy change, and promoting a safe and regulated system. The issue may be morally complex, but it is important to remember that regulation and legalization can lead to a more just, equitable, and responsible approach to this age-old profession. As we ponder the future, we should weigh these considerations carefully in our quest for a safer and more compassionate society.